Pride Rules vidcast. Waited a little bit. We wanted to get our ducks in a row. There was a couple of events that we wanted to wait on. As always, brought to you by 80K Fightwear, Black Hole Jiu-Jitsu, and Madama Jiu-Jitsu. And as always, with me, the inimitable, often imitated but never duplicated, Tommy D. How are you doing, sir?
What's going on, bro? I'm decompressing after my 5.5-hour ride to the Candlewood Suite studio that I'm broadcasting from tonight.
That's got to be a thing. I tell you, we got to make it. Like,
just decompressing off those fights and the great Fight to Win pro event that was on last night. That Madama Jiu-Jitsu had quite a few of our guys on there.
You guys were representing like crazy down there, man. I mean, I know it was relatively local, but you guys don't fuck around, man. Jesus, they bring jiu-jitsu near you, and you're like, yeah, fuck it, we got this. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, man, I was amazed when I saw how many guys were on that. I don't know how the picking process goes with it, but I mean, it was great because no matter the outcome, all our guys were on there on pay-per-view, and they put on probably some of the best jiu-jitsu matches that I saw on that card.
They were game as fuck. Like, and we just went over, before going live, you were telling me, hey, it was this guy, it was that guy. I'm like, whoa, they were the guys putting in work. Sometimes people shrink under the lights, especially if it's close by, but holy smokes, you guys weren't fucking around, man, at all.
No, man. And but before we get into all this, I want to say it to these guys, Jesus, Gaetano, Corey, Jojon, you guys were so fucking awesome last night. You brought so much pride to Josh and to the school. I mean, your matches were amazing. You guys are technical as hell, and I mean, it was just wonderful. I wish I could have been there in person. Next time, I swear to God, I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be rocking the gear, and I'll be putting on a fake press pass. So Flow Combat, don't get mad at me. But no, no, but we're living in fucking the time of milk and honey when it comes to jiu-jitsu, though, in terms of what we're able to. We were just talking about this. You and I were both used to, and everybody still relatively used to paying to go compete. And people would disparage that, like, hey, you're going to pay 40, 50, 60, whatever dollars to get a $2 tin medal that you can bought yourself.
Or if you do like a Naga event or Grappler's Quest, like, yeah, those are the bigger ones. But if you want to compete in gi and no gi, if you want to do absolute, you got to pay for each one of these divisions that you're going in. Yeah, they have combo deals, but you're definitely spending over $100 for the day. Yeah. And anybody who's ever wrestled and been to a wrestling tournament, that's a jiu-jitsu tournament. You sit and wait all day long and wait and wait and wait. Then you get your match. And if you win, now you got to sit and wait some more. Yeah. And then so on and so forth. Then you go into another division.
You're hot and cold. Now you mentally on and off. Like, it's fucking terrible.
Now you pay for that. Yeah. And if you win, you, like Omar said, you get a medal. Yeah. Or you get a belt, or you could trade one of those in for a katana sword.
The kids get a sword now, and I'm pissed. Where the fuck? I'm angry that I can't. I've been known to be like, listen, I got a couple silver medals here that say that katana might be mine. What do you got? And the kids are like, go fuck yourself. I got a sword.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
These events now, these guys are getting paid.
It's fucking crazy.
This is the future of mixed martial arts.
Up is down.
Don't want to compete.
But up is down right now, and fucking left is right, war is peace. Because, and you know what? We were happy. Everybody was happy just to have the opportunity to compete. Get out of your school. You're able to, to go to another place, get different looks. It was a big event. If you had a good school, you had a lot of people that would go. You carpool, the whole drill, man. And it's like, it's fun. It's like a field trip where you get to choke people at the end of it. It's like a fun, weird sort of situation. But you know, so we're not disparaging those really at all. Like I'll still, you know, throw into a Naga. Like it's fun. I love the development of the sport. There's a lot of really good grapplers that kind of cut their teeth on that circuit. You know, Naga's the one that comes to mind just because it's everywhere, but you know, there's a couple other ones as well. You know, and the ones you do for charity, say those are cool too, because you're doing it for a cause. Tap Cancer Out, something near and dear to my heart. Those are awesome. Mm-hmm. But the point of today is like that's all changing. You know,
that's right. I mean, like we just said, these guys are getting paid. It's not just you're going to the Abu Dhabi trials. You know what I mean? Just to get your, you know, to see if you're going to be #1 in the world.
Like all or nothing, right? It's like all or nothing. It's like all and they would get paid, but that's fucking. I mean, and let me tell you, you know, this is not, you know, who am I on the grappling scene? Whatever. I totally get that, but just from an insider / outsider's perspective, you put in 2 years of fucking work. I know it's not for the money, but holy shit. And this was considered one of the, it's the Super Bowl of grappling still, I would consider it. And some of the take homes on those were like, oh, you won your division. Here's a $10,000 check. Don't get me wrong. Getting paid anything for grappling for a long time, absurd. But putting in 2 years of work, because it's every 2 years, and then you're getting like, you would then see folks getting into, I think, and you'll agree with me, you'd see really great jiu-jitsu guys getting into MMA just to fucking pay the bills.
Right. You know, now with EBI, their payouts and things like that, guys like Gary Tonin made 6 figures last year. Yeah, you got to win. But shit. And win. You know, you got to win, but shit, you're making good money. Yeah. Now, is it what some of these guys are making in the UFC? No, but you don't have to go in and get your face punched off for take home, let's just say $20,000 after you've paid taxes and paid everybody. Whereas this, the camp, whereas this, you could do a super fight as long as you don't break anything and go into another super fight 2 weeks later. So now you're paid again.
Yeah, like you were telling me, your boys
it's a no-brainer.
Basically doing that, right? Like he just competed on his pass card.
Gaetano's going to he's stepping in for an opponent to fight Gary Gioni for Submission Arena because Gioni's opponent pulled out. So that's 2 weeks away. So that's another super fight, and it's a main event.
It's another time to wear your sponsors. It's another time to get your name out there, right? We're talking about him today. We're going to talk about him in 2 weeks. He's a teammate of yours.
And he just got back from Brazil.
Yeah.
Doing tournaments in Brazil.
And they pay down there too. This is crazy right now. You know, they have the Abu Dhabi pro series too now, right? That's another one where I think there's like even gi, and they pay you, and it kind of fills in the gap that I was crying about just earlier. Like it just came to me. I know I just cried out about Abu Dhabi not paying in between those 2 years, but you even have that paying you some scratch now. You can put together. And like you said, you're not, unless something goes horribly wrong, you're not getting concussions. You're able to put in good camps. Like if you stay ready, you can get paid.
Corey bounced that fucking guy. Corey bounced that fucking guy's head off the mat yesterday. I'm sure that guy doesn't have a concussion.
Yeah. He was still in it. Like he was still trying, and it's one of those things where, like, you can, with volume and with sponsorship, you pointed that out to me in the pre-show talk. You can make some pretty good cash. Plus, you keep your name out there. You don't have to fade away. Like Gary Goodridge, I really feel, God, gotta help him. But like, if he'd had some sort of outlet aside from getting his fucking head knocked in, what seemed like forever for the last part of his career. Right. Yeah. It seemed like, and you know what? We both know great promoters. This is, don't get us wrong here, guys, but pieces of shit that would bring them in for that reason. Mm-hmm. We know that they would be like, listen, I got a boy that I want to make a name off of Gary. Gary's still a big name. He needs the paycheck. Maybe it's complications from CTE that he's spending or this or that. I don't know. It's, all I know is that he's in a tough situation with the head stuff. They would bring him in and get ridiculous. Promoters can ride ponies for forever with grapplers, and as long as they stay relatively healthy, you don't pull an ACL, you don't get heel hooked to death, you don't get your arm broken.
Well, look what they did to Muhammad Ali. He fought into the 80s, and I'm pretty sure he was on a third grade brain level at that point.
You know, and that's the group around them. You know, there's a lot of hard looks you got to take, but if you give these folks an outlet where they don't then have to trade brain cells for currency, pretty much, you know, have that hard equivocation between the two, then you're able to extend careers. You're able to have the other ventures that fighters get into after fighting can always benefit from some of the shine. Even if, say, you go the NFL route and you buy a goddamn bunch of car washes, right? Wouldn't, you know, having a super fight in the same town, you know, brought to you by Foam and Wash or whatever, you know, Foam and Wash, hook us up with a sponsorship now that I give you a shout out. But brought to you by, you know, whatever, touchless car wash. You could really, with the right, I mean, think about, okay, we just talked about this with our guy here that was on the show last week, right? Eddie Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
That dude has a head on him for fucking business. He knows what to fight. He knows what he's about. There's nobody sitting on a negotiating table and getting one over on him. God bless him, right? I could see that guy honing his jiu-jitsu and putting it, and it sounded like he wanted to, you know, and work on it and continue to compete at these high level. And I think that could even go much further than you know, whatever he does with the MMA route.
Well, yeah, like I looked at some of the names that were on that card. John Gotti Jr. was on that fucking card.
That's crazy.
You know, John Gotti's grandson. Larry Brown, another fighter.
Yeah.
I think it was Larry Brown. Yeah, no, Larry Brown, another fighter. Chris Cope, who went against Eddie on that. You know, these are guys that maybe you haven't heard their name in MMA for a little bit. You know, John Gotti Jr. is just coming up now, but they're really getting their names out that way. They have sponsors. Even if they fight in the UFC, they probably have sponsors. They're allowed to use sponsors to go into these because it's not a UFC event. I know Diego Sanchez came in his UFC gear against Mike, but
which is what it is, you know.
But you know what? It's another, like, look at, all right, we were just talking about Rashad Evans, how he BJ penned himself.
I was hoping you would repeat that because it's literally we're at the stage in this our beloved fucking, you know, our preferred sport here, where in the next 15, right? I think we're like from 2003 to now, people are starting to round the corner. I think we're going to have enough of a sample size where in another 10 to 15 years, even less, probably, we're going to start to see a lot more fucking Gary Goodridges. We just are.
Yeah. You know, you can't, they can't keep going. Like, that did not look like Rashad Evans last night. You know,
and it hasn't for a while.
No. And now that's tough. Now, most people say, well, his career is done. Well, what's the guy going to do? You know what? Go do a grappling super fight. Yeah. You'll still get paid.
Yeah.
You'll make a paycheck. Why is BJ Penn not doing any of these? The guy, we were in high school longer than it took for him to get his fucking black belt from the Gracies.
That's goddamn insane. Like when you put it that way.
You know what I mean?
Fucking, yeah. That's insane.
Think about that. You got it 3 fucking years.
I never thought about that, but my man took AP courses in jiu-jitsu and got out early.
Doctors go to college longer than it took for him to get his black belt.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean?
You know, and you know, as much as I wouldn't want him to be doing anything to me right now, jiu-jitsu or medically, I think he really should. He needs to get out of this. And the UFC could leverage this though. Don't they have grappling events during international fight weeks? Right? Don't they have
That's Grappler's Quest.
Right, but you don't think that Uncle Dana could just sign a Jack and be like, "This, I got this." That was the other one I was trying to think of. That was
but why? I'd rather see him in EBI or in these you know, grappling underground, or what was it? Yeah,
Submission Underground.
Submission Underground. The Chael Sonnen thing.
The rules are a lot cooler.
You had Dan Henderson against John Jones in a grappling match.
It's tremendous, man, and I love it.
You know what I mean?
I feel less guilty. I'm gonna tell you this right now, like as a fan, obviously it's not enough to get me to be like, yeah, well, I'll stop watching it. Same with football. All right, everybody knows the risk. I get it. Football, I feel even less guilty, only because they're getting paid a lot more. I still feel like it's kind of a devil's bargain, but you know what? You know what you're signing up for. Anyway, but I feel less like a shitheel watching these fucking mashups. You know, I almost didn't watch the BJ Penn versus Dennis Siver fight.
I
As much as
didn't.
I love MMA,
I didn't because there was no honestly was no point in watching it. What we were going to talk about on the show, I knew was going to happen.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And you know, BJ at one time was the best, but
He was a killer.
he's just been in
He was an
too many
absolute monster.
wars.
But there's people
You know?
that are in this sport right now, or that are fans of this sport right now, and full on fans. Like, not even, you know, I'm not trying to make the slide comment about casual fans, but like, honest to goodness, good, like, hard, full on fans that really never got to see that amazing animal of MMA at his prime, or even really think of him when they think about like lightweight dominance. You know, that shit, he needs to not do that anymore. If he needs to scratch the competitive itch, got some grappling stuff. And you know what? I think he still might have legs with that. If it's on the ground, I think he could. People still say he's a fucking killer on the ground.
Well, he's not 90. You know, you don't lose that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't lose that. You know, he didn't get his black belt in 3 years for no reason.
It's still wild to me. He said it in a perfect way. It's fucking insane.
I mean, it's not. You know, it's not like
he was already a fucking black belt. Like,
it's not some like Taekwondo school that, you know, will just hand a 10-year-old a black belt because they were, you know, their payments were consistent.
I'm telling you,
you know what I mean, and they could do a kata.
I lived that hole for a long time, and it's the difference is just fucking staggering. You know, it's a difference.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to you know, to earn belts, it's the hardest martial art to earn belts in.
You have to be a bad motherfucker. It takes
the longest time.
You have to be a badder motherfucker than the other bad motherfuckers on the mat at the same bad motherfucker level, whatever it is. So if you're at a blue bad motherfucker level, you need to be the baddest blue motherfucker there before you get leveled up, or else you know what happens? It don't happen.
Yeah,
that's it. You know. So, you know, unless it's like some weird case where, you know, the kid's just a fucking animal, but he's not 16, you know, he's still got those sorts of things, of course. But barring that, like you have to sit here and earn it. And so conversely, to kind of bring it back around, if you're going to spend that much time getting that nasty at the fighting game, I feel like these submission tournaments are a perfect outlet for folks to be able to carry past. I'd still be, honest to goodness, you know, geeked out fanboy interested in a submission match that who's Sakuraba potentially, you know, matched up against. I feel like they're thinking of like a grappling super fight. If he did a grappling super fight, when he did it with Renzo, I was super excited. Right? And none of them, they weren't beating the shit out of each other. It was all good natured. You know, but it was fierce competition. They still had injuries because of the way they train and their animals, whatever. But holy shit, I watched that. I paid to watch it. I was like, I'm making your point.
I mean, aside from Brendan Schaub's Metamoris disaster.
The Schaub shutdown? You talking about
God.
The dreaded?
Aside from that, when you watch these super fights and these tournaments like EBI, it's all technical. It's all flow.
Did you see the girls, the female one, the latest one,
one of the girls that won trains in Jersey. She trains at Carl Pravik's place, Silver Fox, in Jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you know how fucking you saw that? The ladies were throwing down. That was some tremendous jiu-jitsu displayed. That's almost where Eddie's got it to the point with the rules, and I think that some of these newer ones, you know, like the Fight to Win Pro, submission on the ground, they're all figuring it out. They're like, listen, we got to make this fan friendly. I get it. You know, I bust our co-host's balls about, you know, not being into it or whatever. But the rule set, you have to kind of tailor. I get it. It's a new thing, but I think they've figured it out. I really think
look at the production value last night.
Oh, that was
on a show that was in a middle school in New Jersey.
Isn't it nuts?
You have the back screen with the music and
The
the lights
raised,
and the
like
smoke.
the raised thing, right?
Yes.
Where they grapple so everybody can see whatever's going on the ground. That's a genius
Yes.
idea. That's a genius idea, and it's an innovation that apparently the fucking UFC can't figure out. Who knows? I know the octagon is their thing, but it's like, you know, you pay $13,000 to sit cage side, and you're like, well, fuck. I'm looking through.
Now you see, we bust the balls of the casual fan because the casual fan won't watch that. The casual fan's the asshole that's booing when the fight gets taken to the ground. If you took a day to watch one of these events, you would understand what is going on the floor in the cage, so your dumbass won't boo.
Yeah, you won't
You'll
boo.
understand what they're doing.
Exactly. And it'd be exciting. You can't tell me that you couldn't put somebody who's like, hey, I don't know about this ground stuff. I know right where you're going. You put the last EBI, some of the ladies' matches, some of the exchanges, some of the scrambles, all right? If you're even a fan of, and, you know, I know what we feel about Ido Portal on this vidcast, but even if you're a fan of fucking human movement, right? You look at that and you're like, you know, my sister, doctor, she hasn't seen me do jiu-jitsu. She's not into it. I showed her that, and she's like, wow, them ladies are nice. I don't know exactly what's going on. You know what I mean? Because, dude, some of those exchanges, I was even like, hold on, let me rewind this. Because just the chess that was going on quickly, they were just such a high level. But, you know, point is, super exciting. You can't see that and not be like, yo, I think of it the same way, and I think you'll probably agree. Like watching Muay Thai, right? I'll watch Muay Thai to then be able to come back to MMA and appreciate the shit out of what's going on in MMA a little bit more, right? Like foot movement. Like, oh, wow, he's keeping his leg outside of, you know, a lefty's lead leg. You know, they're playing footsies. It's little nuances that's still, you know, exciting to pick up, but also Muay Thai is exciting as fuck to watch. They knock each other out. But some of these grappling exchanges that were on yesterday, the fight to win, dude, fucking high level stuff.
Yes.
Exciting shit. You know? And from like lower belts too, bro. Like, holy crap, man. You know, I'm partway thinking, man, the game's passing me by. Like, holy shit, these savages are purples and browns. Like, what the fuck? But it's super exciting, and I'm glad they're getting paid.
Absolutely. That's the whole point. That's the whole point that I wanted to do this video cast with, is it's now being tailored more for people, for the casual fan,
which is great. Exactly.
To be able to watch. You spend the $20, whatever it is, to watch it. You get an understanding, and you'll see some names of fighters that you know.
There's a reason why the UFC bought EBI, right? Like, tell me just flat out, right? Then they said, holy shit, Eddie's doing some great stuff. It's very exciting. He was able to do like a grassroots sort of deal. And now it's on fucking EBI.
Well, look at it this way.
Yeah.
Look at it this way. So you're watching EBI on Fight Pass, right? Mm-hmm. Now you got a guy who's doing that. You know, maybe in his bio, he's thinking about doing MMA. Mm-hmm. Now you watch this guy on EBI, you see him win a couple. Mm-hmm. Okay. You know his name now. Mm-hmm. So when he steps into the cage in any organization that he's in, you know the guy's a badass on the ground. So as the casual fan, you already know who the guy is before he gets popular. That's why these things are in place, for you to know who these guys are who aren't on TV. It's great stuff.
Mm-hmm. We don't have minor leagues. So, you know, as like a MMA centric, just we're doing straight up MMA. But I honestly feel that some of these organizations where you have folks that, and you know, bringing it back to Truck. Truck said it on our show last week. He's like, listen, I have holes in my game. I want to patch them. The way I'm going to motivate myself and get the patching them is taking super fights in the thing that, you know, I'm not known for, or that you know, I want to kind of fill in. You know what I mean? So you'll have like development time, but it's still productive development time. It's still pushing your brand. It's still getting your name out there, and it's still exciting as fuck to watch. You know, and then as a fan, you want to learn more.
Well, you know the hole in his game was the jiu-jitsu because of you know, how he lost to Tom Glecchio. I mean, Glecchio's a good ground guy. He's a good wrestler.
Sure.
I mean, the fight was great.
For sure.
It was a great fight. You know what I mean? But that was the one hole. So he's now fixed that hole and is John Jonesing himself in jiu-jitsu like John Jones.
Isn't it amazing though that now you can fix that hole, but instead of having it take time out of your day, money out of your pocket, training time away, you can make it productive. These fighters, I
Yes.
mean, fuck, man. Any which way they can get a paycheck to supplement,
Like,
you
this is a
know,
great time to be alive in MMA right
it
now.
really is though. Like,
It so is.
I
I
swear to
mean,
God,
holy shit.
you know,
You
it's
what would you have? A Naga once, twice a year, maybe a
yeah,
Grappler's Quest, but that's all shit that you're paying to do.
yeah.
You're paying for it.
Which at my
You know what I mean?
level, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna right. I'm not kidding. I'm gonna fight to it. I mean, no matter unless they by the time I get to purple and brown, what like maybe 50 old bracket. If they want to see some old guys throw down, we could go and make it happen and fight to win pro. If they want to give me $20 at a soda, I'll be excited just to be a part of the event. You know,
Don't you
but
remember
not
when Pro Fight League was around?
yes.
Like Pro Fight League, Amateur
Mm-hmm.
Fight League, like that was
Yeah.
kind of the basis of everything that's been going on, where it was like all over social media. You know, your championship fight, you were in a ring, you
Yeah.
weren't on a mat. You know what I
No.
mean? So
Dude.
it was doing things to make you catch the eye, to make somebody say, "Well, let me want to watch that."
Yeah.
You know, and then you look at the production last night. You look at the productions of the EBIs. I mean,
Dude.
it's all coming together. You need to get it on the ground floor to watch this stuff, because it's going to eventually be big. You're going to be seeing this stuff on ESPN. I can't figure out why it's not in the Olympics yet. I really can't. You got ping
'Cause they're
pong
corrupt.
in the Olympics.
Corrupt.
I'm sure baton swallowing is going to come to the Olympics before fucking jiu-jitsu.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure not. Let's not discourage or disparage any baton swallowers out there. You know, ladies, keep the Olympic level practice down pat. However, you're absolutely right. There's some bullshit with rings and fucking balls that you throw up in the air. That's in the Olympics.
Curling,
and you're telling me that
fucking
yeah.
curling.
Hey, we have Canadian fans, so I ain't gonna say dick about curling. I'm not gonna disparage that.
I don't see the skill in it,
bro.
I don't
all
see
right.
the skill in it.
As a Hispanic, I will tell you right now, the way you hold a broom and how you handle yourself around one can really it shows you, you know, you can show how much of a man you are. I don't fucking know. I'm reaching here, but you're absolutely right. There's some shit
I
on
mean,
there.
and just like I said, ping pong. I'm sorry. Ping pong is a game that you play in college and in high school.
It'd
and
be
when
like
you're wasted.
foosball. It'd be like foosball being in the fucking Olympics.
Yeah.
Right? It'd seriously be or like what the fuck? The electronic football. Right? Where like the thing vibrates and you're just like, hold on. And then they're giving out fucking medals for that. You know, Uzbekistan just went on a hard run. You know, I'm like, they don't even play football over there. Yes, but this gets me out of my country. If I win a gold medal, I get a car and a gold.
I mean, it's so bad because this is a martial art like karate that's in the Olympics, judo.
Yeah.
It's done all over the world. It's done all over the world. They got the Abu Dhabi trials, you know, that we just talked about.
It's grappling is universal, bro.
Oh my God. You know, Sambo is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with punches. You know what I mean?
Like you said earlier, I don't want to steal your thunder. You said it. It's like, it's combat jiu-jitsu.
It's combat jiu-jitsu, you know?
What the fuck is, you know, like.
So there's no reason why you can't say every country wouldn't be behind it, because you got people from every country doing it.
There's different variations of grappling. And it's one of those sports where honestly, the fuck do you got to buy for equipment? You've seen those videos of like, I'm pretty sure it's like Uganda or Nairobi or some pretty poor ass African nation. You know, shout out to Africa. I'm not making fun of it, but like they put a tarp on rocky soil and they're practicing fucking judo. After I seen one of those, I never complained about, should we get the crash pad?
They had a bobsled team in Jamaica.
That if you want it, you can get it. Plus, that was a great fucking movie. Rest in peace, John Candy. Rest in peace, Tallulah. You know,
absolutely. But I'm just saying, if you know, I don't understand. I mean, it's bad enough that wrestling had to fight for its life in the Olympics when it's been there ever since it was in fucking Greek.
That was
you know, since it was in Greece. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's literally like you can excavate shit and there's pottery dedicated to wrestlers. All right, not baton twirlers, not baton swallowers. They didn't put it on the pottery. All right, they were some cool motherfuckers in ancient Greece. But I'm just saying, like, it boils down to cash. I feel as though like the governing body for in wrestling's case, I think in particular, like the governing body, I think fucked something up. There was some money that, you know, somebody didn't get an envelope. Next thing you know, you're out of the Olympics, and then they're like, oh shit, there was enough of a backlash, because that would have been a travesty. But everybody grapples, for fuck's sake. I got one of my best friends is Punjabi, and he's like, yeah, we got our own little style. I'm like, what? Like, hold on, what? He tried some of it on me, bro, and it was pretty goddamn effective. I'm gonna say. Plus, he's a beast. I mean, Punjabi, they're fucking animals. But like, he's like, yeah, and you know, and there was a science to it. There was something, you know, there's principles to it. And he's like, yeah, and you know, we practice this kind of amongst ourselves. You can go to any nation in the world, and they have probably something to do with
grappling, easily,
but also a form of submission grappling.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at the Olympics. You want to get
those, right? Have you seen the Senegalese fucking? Yes. That crazy business that they do? Jesus fuck, that's crazy. Are you kidding me?
When you look at the Olympics, they want to get younger fans, right?
Of course.
You want to keep the ratings up. Everything's been done. Like this year, like judo had to be done through streaming. You didn't watch it on TV. It had to be done through, you know, like watching on your phone or your computer and things like that. Well, if you wanted to get younger and stay, you know, high ratings driven, you need to bring Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah. Yeah, or at least like let's slightly broaden it. I'm a BJJ guy, first and foremost. If I don't say that, Mike, you'll fucking put me to sleep tomorrow. Again, I'd say that right now.
What would you call it? Submission grappling?
Exactly. I would, and I would just say, listen, you know, because I mean, and you know, maybe I might get flack for this, but I don't want no IBJJF rules in anything we put.
No, I think it would have to be EBI rules.
Yeah, to be exciting. Fuck yeah, it would be.
Yeah, you know. I don't know. And you know, the casual fan kind of kills it for me with jiu-jitsu, because they just like what we talked about before. Absolutely. You know, it's got to be out there. It needs to be an Olympic event. Yep. It would just bring in more of a younger crowd. And you know what? Now that I think of it, you might have a guy who's a wrestler who will actually be able to participate in 2 different events. Right. He could do the wrestling and he could do the submission grappling.
And I hope he's wearing fucking every sort of, you know, getting sponsorships on both levels. Yes. I know they probably can't wear as much because you're with your country. I get it. It's great. It's beautiful. But fuck, man, anything that gets checks to. I want to get pro fighters paid, and they've already been getting paid. I want to extend there. Imagine what I'd like. I want to give all sorts of cash to folks that are representing their nations and that, you know, are super poor most of the time. Right?
Imagine having, but imagine having a someone in wrestling win a gold medal and the same guy win a gold medal in submission grappling in the Olympics.
My head would explode. I'd be super proud if it was some motherfucker like Jordan Burroughs, because, you know, if he taught that dude a guillotine.
You know what? If it wasn't the U.S., I wouldn't care, because holy shit, that's amazing.
That's a crazy grappler. I mean, even if it was an Iranian, I think we could both agree, right? Where there's no hatred.
Yeah, I wouldn't care. No hatred here, you know? That would be amazing.
Fucking Daljim from India comes out with some Punjabi crazy business, you know, even though they're not the same. I'm going to get hate for that, I know. But you know what I mean? Like, he comes out with some yoga fire shit on both levels and, like, just busts out. And you're just like, yo, because that would be, in my opinion, probably top 5 baddest motherfucker around for that year. If he's able to win at the Olympic level in wrestling and submission grappling, I'd just be like, that is one bad dude.
And now what else does that do for them? Because it's not like Dana White is doing Dana White looking for a fight over in Iran or Iraq or anything like that. It gets them on the map.
Yes.
And could possibly get them into a fighting organization if they really wanted to do that a lot faster than, well, hopefully he sees my reel on the internet or something like that.
Yeah, so exactly. It gets them that exposure. We're still talking about exposure.
More exposure. Mm-hmm. So what if it wasn't just going to the UFC? What if it was just to these invitationals? You know what I mean? It all comes together, and the submission grappling is the future for MMA right now. 100%. Because the pools are starting to get dry. You look at the lack of depth in these divisions. The pools are starting to get dry.
Dude, we're having events where at the same time, I don't want to say, hey, man, I'm pissed that, you know, fucking we're having so many events. You know, I don't want to say that because, again, we're both from the time when You know, you had to. You know, there was a time when I got my MMA news from fucking newspaper. Remember, Full Contact Fighter used to get actually produce newspapers, and if you ordered something from them, you were super stoked because they throw one of those in for free because they couldn't give them away. It was newspaper. Even back then, it was still getting old. But it was super exciting. I think I have it saved because one of them had a picture of Nog triangling / armbarring Coleman, right? Anyway.
Okay, yes.
Right. That was iconic image.
My friend Eric actually had that exact magazine because he had it on his wall in his room.
Oh, dude. I was super excited. I think I ordered like some fucking, you know, Turtle Guard DVD or some bullshit. Something crazy. Like, when I was just like, what? You know, like, you know, secret. It worked on me, right? It was in Black Belt magazine. It was the back of it, like, order this, Full Contact Fighter, whatever. But I don't want to get, you know, I don't want to look like a spoiled kid when it comes to that sort of shit. However, good Lord. I mean, I cared about yesterday's event. I know you did. Because we love this shit. We absolutely love it. We live and breathe it. But come on, man.
I care. Here's why I care so much about it. Because all you hear people bitch about is there's no star power in the UFC right now. It's just lack of star power, right? Well, how do you get star power? You have to have these events. You have to. You need these events for the star power.
You got to develop them. You have to, you know. Okay, like fucking did Axl Rose get nasty overnight? Did he become a star overnight? You know, I'm going back to my love of Joey Diaz. He always brings back to music. You know, like these guys, you have to have somebody to work it out with. Joey Diaz himself, he has events where he literally says, "Listen, I'm going to charge you $10. I'm going to call it Working Out with Uncle Joey." And you know, I just did a special. I'm trying to. Long story short, you have to have a place where you can work on your craft, hone your talents, and come up the right way. Or you're going to get situations like a fucking Sage Northcutt, God bless him, right? Or you're going to, you know, or I won't bring up CM Punk because I don't think he's honing shit except cashing checks. But you have crazy situations like that, right? You need to have a place for them to work. So, you know, with that being said, I think you're pretty spot on when it comes to having a place for these young up-and-comers to, there we go. Lost you. Come back to me. Sir. There we go.
Sorry about that. Had to switch my platform there, sir.
Gotcha. Dude, that was well done in a pinch. But
thank you.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, you have to have a place to make them stars.
Yeah, you know, and just like I was saying, going back with the Olympic thing, I think I might have been jumping the shark a little bit there. But
I don't.
It's just, it's just something needs to be done for the grappling community because we already have enough MMA. We're out there. You know what I mean? MMA is out there like crazy, and it's awesome. I love it, but the grappling community needs more eyes on it. It needs more casual fans.
Because it has to, I mean, like with any purchase, right? With any purchase, like this is basic investment 101. You buy it on the promise that it's going to double, triple, or it's going to go up. If you don't think that something you're going to buy as an investment is going to improve, why the fuck are you buying it? Why not just give it a handshake, go to an event, you know, buy a T-shirt, fanboy out, and then get the fuck out. You don't spend $4.4 billion on something you don't think is going to shoot through the roof. Right? You buy stocks on that premise. We need more of those casual fans. You're absolutely right, because what's going to pay that nut off? If the sale, what's getting crazy to me is this, and I don't know. Tell me if you agree, Eduardo. If the sale of the UFC goes badly, it's going to bring the entire sport down.
Well, I mean, to be, you know, kind of honest with you, I don't think it's going too well.
Me neither, and I'm nervous.
What do you count as going well? Conor McGregor going to fight Floyd Mayweather in a fight where we don't know what the fuck is going to happen? You could either get a Floyd Mayweather fight where it's boring as fuck and you just wasted $100, Or you could have Conor McGregor somehow knocking out Floyd Mayweather, or Mayweather somehow knocking out Conor McGregor. Yeah, that's all great and all well and good, but the lion's share is not going to UFC or WME.
No, it's not.
Not going to them.
I think maybe the most is the figures I've heard are like 20% of Conor's purse are going to the UFC. So they're they're number 3 in terms of who's pulling down ducats from this situation.
I mean, do they honestly think this is going to gain them more fans by having this fight? Because do they think that's what's going to happen? If he gets embarrassed,
I think so.
If he gets embarrassed, do you think it's going to gain them more fans?
I'm gonna tell you right now. I know, and this is a point of contention for the two of us. So I guess this makes for a good vidcast. But I'm still of the mindset that any publicity is good publicity. We've been talking about just based on like the one little thing I know about marketing and whatnot. If you put those 3 little letters in front of enough eyeballs all the time, even if we ignore it, you're getting inside the minds of potential purchases down the road. You are. WME, that's not lost. The minute WME bought the UFC, I was like, okay, they're going to be doing some wild shit. I'm not going to say I was fucking Tommy the Swami and said that this was where they were going to go. But I'm just like, I was honestly like, man, they're going to bring fucking lions in the cage and shit. We're going to have gladiator days. They're going to flood the arena.
I still don't know where they're going to go. Like, this does not impress me. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, Conor McGregor is going to get to fight Floyd Mayweather, who hasn't fought in 2 years. That's really not that impressing. To me, I think it's a waste of fucking time. I think it's a waste of time.
It's a well-marketed waste of time, and I think it's
a well-marketed waste of time. But what it's doing is it's killing an entire division.
That I understand.
To a I don't give a fuck mode.
That complete.
You know what I'm saying?
There's no, and it's like but I still think that any money that you're losing in that division is still being replaced by what you're getting from this monstrous super fight, dude. They're taking the fucking wind out of Canelo versus Triple G, dude. That should be all we're talking about in the boxing world, right? Because I'm still, you and I, we're both, pretty much we'll watch violence. So I'm super stoked for that.
I'm more interested in the Canelo fight.
Me too. It's more of an interesting fight, but I want to see what this does for our sport, dude. That's where I'm coming from with it.
Yeah. Well, look, it's like our boss says. I play favorites. I play favorites too. Yeah. And right now, my favorites are the grappling super fights that are going on because there's no hoopla behind it. No. There's no bullshit behind it. It's just this guy's a black belt, this guy's a black belt, and they're going to scrap.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's a good production, and there's more longevity in their careers just by doing that.
It's something like my girlfriend sits and bless her heart, she sits with me through a lot of fights. She sits with me through a lot of grappling stuff. She wants to hang out. I'm like, yo, this is what I'm doing. I love you, but jump on if you want to. And she's even said like, though it's more approachable when you do it in a rule set that encourages action. And then obviously, I got you, Omar, to kind of fill me in on what's going on a little bit. But it's still it's exciting, if not more so, than like a great EBI match is to me, and I think to you, 10 times more exciting than like a shitty MMA match.
Yeah.
Right? Like where they're just up against the cage, they're trying. Like I can still appreciate the tactical aspects of it. You can too. Like okay, he's really working for that under. Fuck, he can't do much from the over under.
Man, he just took his 23rd shot and still didn't complete it. But nobody has attempted to get to the ground yet.
Oh fucking Damien! Oh jeez.
Now there's another one. There's another one. He could go into these tournaments and be bigger than he ever could have been in the UFC. Who's going to go up against Damian Maia in an EBI?
He'd be the king of fucking Bartertown, is what he would be, sir. He would be. There would be Tina Turner up in the stands, sitting next to Eddie Bravo, going, can you dig it? I mixed like 3 movies there. I know I did. But
you did.
Yeah. But like, you telling me that nobody would? Jesus wouldn't want to grapple fucking Damian Maya and API. He'd be like, listen, I already got put on the cross once, right? I'm not looking at going through something for 3 days and I'll be hurting for a while. Like, dude, Damian, and tell me that you don't think deep down in his heart, I know UFC gold is a big deal. I know he's making money, but if he put enough of a run in some of these organizations, or fucking do them all if you're healthy, I don't think he'd make enough money. I don't think he's pulling in cash for the UFC, but I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC didn't fucking bust him down to the undercard after that. I'm dead serious.
They might.
Right?
They might.
And he might be relegated to that fucking purgatory. Like they pulled this same sort of shit with John Fitch. Remember John Fitch used to be
come on, dude. The guy he's 40. How much more of a career do you think he has left?
That's what I'm saying.
For the cage.
But he could
for
have
the cage.
He could have another solid if he stays healthy and he does the whole Tom Brady bullshit, right? Hey, marriage is out, good for you. But like, he stays healthy, minds his P's and Q's. He could have another fucking 10 years. Solid 10 years. His style is not something where you need to do cartwheel bullshit, right? Unless you're Sakuraba, then it's not bullshit. But you don't need to do fucking flashy stuff. He could be grappling into his 50s, making 6 figures. For
grappling, yes. As far as the cage stuff goes, I don't see too many organizations wanting him because they're going to feed their younger guys to him. Where not everybody is as strong as Tyron Woodley. You know what I mean? Like,
still pay money though, sir.
I'm sure Bellator would. Bellator would put him in there against 2 rabid pit bulls just to make money.
Bellator would give Jay Cutler $10 million. Oh wait, somebody actually did. God, I know Coker was on the phone being like, listen, if you could do some little kickboxing, if we could maybe do, we could turn that slide move that you used to do to get a first down into like an Imanari. Maybe we could get something going. They were about to offer him 9, and I think he just got offered 10.
Well, I heard they offered Kaepernick a job, Coker.
Oh, Jesus. There we go. I gotta make that one of the tags. For the show.
Well, no, I heard his sales pitch was we don't do the national anthem before the event, so you don't have to worry about taking a knee.
But that's a lie, though, because Dave Navarro did it the last time, and that was super exciting. Stop it, sir. I love that. Are you kidding me? I want to see our generation's version of Marvin Gaye. Bust that out. We still haven't hit it yet. You know what I'm saying? But good Lord, man, I want to see these older fighters just turn around and make this money doing that instead.
Yes. Save your fucking brain, because God knows by the time you're 60, you're going to forget where you put your fucking underwear that you're wearing. You know what I mean? Like it's just there's more of a longevity in it for them, and it's a way for their fans to keep seeing them and not see them get Chuck Liddell'd against fucking Rashad Evans.
And then now look what
that's
happened,
what made me hate. That's what made me hate Rashad was how he knocked out Chuck Liddell. Because it was vicious and it hurt my feelings.
That's the core of the fucking.
It hurt my feelings. Now I know Chuck Liddell has done that to everybody, so it shouldn't hurt my feelings that bad.
He hurt a lot of feelings.
As a way to keep seeing your favorite guys, just like with Sakuraba and like you said before, Sakuraba and Henzo and Metamoris. Even though Metamoris was an atrocious fucking grappling event.
Yeah,
it was run wrong and things like that.
Yeah, and pay people.
But right, how great was that to see? The last time we saw that was in Pride. What was that? 2002, 2003?
Fucking too long. And I was super excited that they weren't fighting.
Right.
I was really genuinely because like I was alluding to before, but I would have felt bad seeing. You know what? Let's compare this, right?
Dude, Henzo just. Yeah, but Henzo just said he's looking to fight in an organization. He's looking to get back in the goddamn cage.
He's got breast fucking cojones.
He's a fucking animal. He is an animal.
Fucking Tommy.
Fuck no.
Go ahead. See how that fucking works.
No.
Right?
But I'm just saying, like,
you're gonna live tweet him.
I don't know. It's just this itch. It's this itch that he has that he just can't seem to scratch. God bless him. I love him to death.
I'm telling you.
I love him to death.
That position that I'm hearing about, like, defending the world against extraterrestrials, we need to give that to fucking Renzo Gracie. Have you seen that going around on Facebook? I feel like he'd be the perfect guy. Like, NASA's actually advertising this, and I feel it should go to Renzo because that man's fire has not diminished. I think since he was the age of fucking 3 years old, he's been scrapping, and he's always wanted to scrap. It's crazy, you know. But like, I don't want to tell him no. But I also, heaven forbid, let's say what we're both thinking. Heaven forbid something happens. He goes out, he fights, and they put him up against, like, they try to BJ Penn, right? Depending on the organization, they very well might, right? And you get a situation where you get this young lion coming up, and he's quicker on the draw. He drops Renzo. Do I want to see that fucking happen to Renzo goddamn Gracie? No. At all. I'm not saying. I still think he has it to give. There's a bunch of young lions that he could probably knock the fuck out. But I don't want to see him in a situation where the potential is there to take away one cunt hair of his personality.
I don't want to see another, situation that he was in with Matt Hughes, where he was able to get on his back, flatten him out, and you know what I mean? Because that event. That event should have been my most favorite night. You mean you got Frankie Edgar taking a belt from BJ Penn in Abu Dhabi, and it should have been Renzo beating Matt Hughes, who's recently taken training to a whole new level. But
I was wondering where. I knew it was coming, like Santa Claus. He was either going in the front door or the back door of the chimney. You fucking bastard.
That's why to catch you off guard with that one. I wanted to catch you off guard with it.
I was like, oh, he's going to leave it alone today. Oh, he's going to leave it alone.
But yeah, it was so hard to watch, and then it was even harder when the next fight he has is against Ricardo.
Yeah.
When, so it's just like
Roy Shamrock, bro. That's what the one I was going to bring up a couple of minutes ago. I would have honestly preferred to see that shit. They're both relatively still good grapplers. I mean, Royce is fucking Royce Gracie. Ken still, he's got legit shoot wrestling chops. Say what you want about his works and all this and that, but like he's a legitimate submission grappler. I would have much rather preferred to see that, especially with the fight that we ended up with, where somebody got hit in the dick, right, and then they called it some bullshit. So, what the fuck, guys? We all got hoodwinked. As I know we're talking about Shaw in a disparaging way, but we all got honey-dicked on that fight. Like we all straight up got honey-dicked.
Did you really think it was going to be anything interesting?
Once it got to the ground, I was hoping. You know what I was hoping for, because I'm a glutton for hoping for things that'll never happen, I guess. But I was hoping for the gentleman's agreement of like a Carlos Newton Sakuraba, where they get on the ground and then they show us some crazy shit. Because there's neither one of them need to be hitting anybody else in the head. I know Royce got his money shit on the background. He's my lineage, so I'm not gonna try to knock it. But and then Ken probably owes the mob money. I don't fucking know what he's up to, but I know that that's what they're doing. But again, we're bringing this up as a potential. It could ameliorate those situations. You could consistently grapple enough where you could take some of that financial pressure off. And if you piggyback off of it the right way, you get some merchandise sales. You start a fucking podcast. You do things to get that leverage the public eye.
I mean, they could have had that fight at Polaris, for Christ's sakes.
We forgot about
what I mean?
Polaris, and those savages across the pond are killing the game right now.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, they're absolutely.
There's so many organizations out there
even
that
1FC.
need
Shout out to
some
1FC.
more shine.
Right? Shout out to 1FC
Yes.
for even having grappling matches. As I think that was the co-main. Was when Gary and Shin Aoki were thrown down, as it should have been. But you tell me that A, another organization stateside is going to have that, and B, it's going to be a co-main, or, co-headliner or whatever. I'm super excited that happened, but they could really, you could make this much more approachable internationally. I know Dana White always says fighting's the language, blah blah. I get that. I do, but there's some countries, I firmly believe more countries that grapple.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. UFC would not be what it is today if it wasn't for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
1,000%.
Because had Royce Gracie not won that tournament, that UFC would have been 2 or 3 events, and then people would have said, well, this is just stupid barroom brawling. I could see this anywhere, and it wouldn't have gotten as popular as it did. It took Hoist to beat guys that were bigger than him, to have all these other guys going to learn more than just one martial art, and mixed martial arts was born. So if it wasn't for submission grappling,
exactly,
we would not have a podcast today.
No, there would be no sport. You know, I just did a demo for my school here, and one of the things I had to talk about, I had to get on the mic, and it was like for a Japanese festival. So you know the obvious connection. You know, we had the boys doing jiu-jitsu on the mats. We had some mats out, and I just had to talk about how came over from Japan, the Brazilians, the Gracie family, among others. You know, I gotta give Shine the word it is. There's multiple lineages that exist, legitimate.
Oh, absolutely.
Ones, you know, legitimate ones, and you know, it was born. But you're absolutely right. You had to see a small dude, a super small guy, in pajamas.
He was like 170 pounds,
and lanky as shit. You know, and I think maybe in his quote unquote old age, he's gained 10 pounds. I mean, he's still lanky as all fuck, for God's sakes. And he still feels, I'll tell you, to this day, he's still the heaviest human being I've ever had mounted on me. Hoist Gracie was. I'm telling you for a fucking fact. And I was younger when I had it happen. You know, I was like 19, 20, so I was, you know, more of a bucking bronco than I am today. But like, he was the heaviest motherfucking thing I've ever had on my chest. I mean, I've never had a car on there, but I would imagine it's close to.
That was equivalent to it.
That's it. Just I felt as hopeless and helpless. I felt like somebody knocked the jack from a car that I was happened to be under, and I was like, "Yep, this is it. I'm gonna die."
But you see now, right there. Insane. Now that was how many years ago?
Oh Christ! Now, yeah, I'm like what? 14 years ago now. Good God, I'm old.
So. At his age then, he could have still been doing these submission grappling tournaments, blah, 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 blah. Just like all these guys can now. So if their careers aren't going well in the UFC or Bellator or anything like that, they're getting a little long in the tooth, they have another outlet to get their name out there, make money. If you want to open up a school, it's not going to just go based off your name recognition alone. School's name out there a little bit more. What better way to get your school's name out there is if you are main carding a super fight for an organization like Tom DeBlas last night. He was the headliner. His school's 15 minutes from where that shit was. You don't think people watching that know who he is? Now people watching know who Madama is because we had 4 fucking killers out on those mats last night?
Josh isn't stupid.
Are you kidding me?
Josh knows this, and Josh is, you know, and the same as
fucking like, Joe John made it all the way to California for Metamoris a year or 2 ago. You know what I mean?
One of the guys from mine like went to the it was like open tryouts for the heavyweights, right? I don't know if it was Joe John for, you know, but
he wasn't heavyweight.
Yeah,
now.
So it was just for the heavyweights for my guy Dennis Norton, like, and again, perfect example. Good old Den. He'll give me a thumbs up for mentioning him. Collegiate wrestler, you know, wrestled Oneonta a little up north. You know, went the straight and narrow route, got the legit job route when he got out of college. You know, Olympics weren't his bag.
Joe John is a chemist.
Right, that's my man's he works at Indian Point, for fuck's sake. He works at a nuclear power plant. All right, he doesn't even make donuts. Don't say don't make those. No, don't do that. But like he's
I'm not gonna say he's Homer Simpson.
I know. That's why I had to back it up. But he was smart guy, smart as fuck. And look what he's doing. It's an outlet for grapplers. It's an outlet for them to scratch that competitive itch, but do it as safely as goddamn possible, man. I don't want to see our old heroes and legends. Let's say it how it is. I don't want to see them get fucking BJ penned. I don't want to see it. There was nothing in me, dude. I know it was against you know your boy. That second time the second where he kind of fought Frankie with, you know, like the Korean Zombie type sort of situation.
That was the third time.
That was the third time. There you go.
That was the third time.
He was just coming at him like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see people that I hate have that happen to them. I really don't, because I know what it does to them. You know what? Get submitted, whatever. Fuck you. I'll grind you a little bit. I don't want to, like, stop it, man.
Yeah, no, it's getting to the point now where, like you said before, you don't want to see these guys end up like Gary Goodridge or Riddick Bowe,
or
where
fucking Ramon
they're
Beckers,
drooling when they
right?
talk.
What happened to that son of a? I still contend that he was living hard. He was living this. He's one of my heroes. If you don't know who he is, look him the fuck up. You're gonna go down a YouTube rabbit hole that's well deserved because that man could kickbox his fucking Dutch.
Boss loved him. Boss loves Ramon Dekkers.
And that's how I got into him. I looked him up and I'm like, sweet motherfucking Jesus, this guy could knock out a Toyota. But like, he was in the sport for longer than he had to be, and I'm positive of some of the miles that he put on his body in that sort of situation. I'm not saying he could have gone into the grappling sort of whatnot, but like, you don't need to be getting punched in the head for a minute longer than you absolutely have to. It's just
no, but his specialty was kickboxing.
It was
these guys in MMA. You can't be one-dimensional in today's sport. It's impossible. Ask Yair Rodriguez. Frankie Edgar will tell you can't be one-dimensional in this game. It's impossible.
Or conversely, ask Damien. Right? The other, you have to be.
Yeah, but Damien never had 7 shades of shit beat out of him the way Yair did when they were touting fucking Yair as being the fucking the next greatest thing since fucking ribbed condoms, for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean?
It's still, A, first off, ribbed condoms, amazing. B, the McRib, also amazing, but not at the same time. Let's not get it twisted. C, you're still salty that they even. You're like, hey man, did you dream about Yair beating Frankie? Because you need to wake up and apologize. That's how salty you are about that situation.
Well, because they banked it off what he did to BJ Penn. Well, it's like, okay, you're pairing him up against a guy who beat him worse than Yair beat him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, you can't call like a guy like Chuck Liddell one-dimensional, because try taking Chuck Liddell down. He stuffed your takedowns every time. So he wasn't one-dimensional. He had excellent wrestling.
Absolutely.
But a guy like Yair, dimensional, that's not the game that you could play in mixed martial arts today. It's not going to work. It's not, because maybe you can get lucky and catch somebody with a kick or a punch, but the second it gets taken to the ground, you're dead.
Yeah, it's over. It's straight
you're
up.
Dead.
Straight up, destructo pants. You have to. Or at least know enough. You have to at least have anti-jiu-jitsu, but then at that point, that still counts as you have to roll.
Like Damien knows enough. With standing up, Damien knows enough to at least how to get it to the ground. Tyron Woodley's just an excellent wrestler. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you look at Damien when he fought Carlos Condit. He didn't throw a punch.
Yeah. That was some fucking next level Jackie Chan.
So he's one-dimensional, but he's not, because he was attempting the kickboxing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I'm talking about the just straight one-dimensional guys like
Gokhan Saki.
Mark Coleman. Mark Coleman was another one who could have been a hell of a lot better, but as the sport evolved, he didn't evolve with it.
It's like he didn't care to.
You know what I mean?
You ever get that sense where he was just like, I know Chael did the line, but he's like, I'm a Republican.
Well, because when he went to Japan, he got humongloid and was actually able to put on some amazing fights. But as the competition got better, he wasn't evolving with it, and he's admitted to that himself. He said it. He goes, "I didn't evolve with the sport."
So
you can't be one-dimensional.
I love your word for what he did. That was tremendous. He got humongloid. Yeah, because it did almost seem to make him dumber there for a second. I love Mark Coleman. Shout out to Mark Coleman. For a while, are you injecting steroids in your eyeballs? Because there's something going on up here. It's something. There's a disconnect, right? You're getting bigger, but fuck, man, you ain't making good life choices. Shout out to him and rest in peace, Randleman. But yeah, it's like they didn't want to though. Like
now, if all these submission things were around then, but think of submission if all this then to where to continue in Pride, or when he. Time in the U.S. ago, I think he had like one fight.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have needed to do that again. He could have just went to a grappling tournament. The guy could wrestle.
CM Punk could have, right? I mean, I know you. I know you hate the man.
Well, I don't know what his jujitsu looks like. You know what I mean?
At the very
I don't
least,
know.
It could have saved them a fucking Jersey ass whooping. Okay, and
I
those
mean,
are
I would hope
especially
by
something.
now he's higher than a blue belt. I mean, Buck, he's been out of wrestling for how many years? He's got nothing else to do other than train jiu-jitsu.
Ben Askren is there every day, right? Not that back of his head, just saying, "Get better, get better, get up, get funky." But like,
but he trains his jiu-jitsu with the Gracies.
Yeah. I mean, online. I don't know. I'm gonna throw that out there.
He couldn't have his belt ceremony. His Wi-Fi wasn't good enough.
Oh Christ, man!
He gets his stripes sent in the mail.
They get sent on a piece of cardboard like they have them at an actual set, like an actual promotion, but they just send them to him in a piece of cardboard with the tape and then the fucking plastic bag over the tape. Jesus Lord, but like you gotta figure that he's. But I would have again, as I know you have hate for him, I know you have hate for what he's doing in the UFC. I get it, but at least on a human being level, like you don't gotta be. And I'm gonna steal your line. You don't gotta be the motherfucker standing outside of the Denny's with a punch me for $5 sign anymore. You have other things. Not saying Mark Hunt could grapple his way out of a fucking wet paper bag. I'm not saying that at all.
Well, you know what though? He's too much of a prickhole to do the event for what they pay the guy. You know what I mean? That's what it is. He's not going to do it for peanuts, which is why he made $1 million fucking to get dusted in 2 minutes.
Shout out to Mickey Gall too. I just
yes.
Anytime we
absolutely. I miss this fucking guy. When's he gonna fight again?
I want him to. I'd like him to fight every goddamn Saturday, dude.
See, and there's another one. This guy is a jiu-jitsu savage. In this time, he's not fighting. He could have been doing these other events to make money.
You can just keep it on EBI if you want to keep it on Fight Pass. You want to, you're under contract with the UFC. I get it, whatever, But honestly, if the prospect of injury comes up, which I know that there's some naysayers, and it registered in my mind too. I was like, I don't want to see him get hurt. But if you let motherfuckers like Cowboy Cerrone do the shit he does in between fights, like you can let people grapple. You know what I mean? Like you can
see. Dana doesn't have a problem with the grappling because there's no strikes involved.
That's what I'm saying.
He doesn't have a problem with that. Which is why John Jones did what he did. You know what I mean?
He also just wanted to keep John Jones busy. He just wanted to be like, yo, let's keep you out of the strip club. Let's keep you away from the deadlift machine. Let's keep you away from the mirror that's on your table with all the white baby powder on it. Yeah, it's talcum powder, sir. All right, we call it talcum powder.
Oh, okay.
But he's
where I come from, it's cut with baby X-Lax, but that's neither here nor there.
That's that's another time. Talk for another time. That's a memoir. But it's a situation where you could really, I think there's some synergy there because, like you said earlier in the talk, the shine that you get from a grappling match can carry over. Mickey Gall could be growing his brand, and then he'd be an even bigger draw on the next pay-per-view. If you see him dust a couple of people in a grappling only match, which we both know he's fully capable of doing.
Well, his first wins in the UFC were submissions.
And he's a fucking animal. And you're closer to it than I do, but like the little birdies I have in the area tell me that he's a fucking animal on the mat. Like just straight up gi, no gi, fucking underwear. Like he's great in all facets of fucking grappling, dude. Like he's a guy I'm super excited to watch, but why not give him, even if it's like a 20K or no, let's even go lower. Even if it's like a 5K payday or a 3K payday, right? Let's do that.
For a super fight for one night?
For a super fight for one night, it's in your hometown, say, right? Let's do this situation. Like let's look at the fight to win. We have that as a perfect microcosm, right? They said the payout was about what, 21, 22, roughly right around there. Right?
For I don't know if they pay everybody or they pay the winners, but then there's fight of the night. I guess there's fight of the night bonuses and things like that. So, or submission of the night. Yeah. So there's potential to make. I'm not going to say, you're not going to go out and put a down payment on that fucking Bentley that you always wanted to, but I'm sure a couple $1,000 comes in training, or when the UFC hasn't called you for another fight because they don't have an opponent for you right now.
And it's like almost camp free. You can choose where you fight at in terms of the weight wise, right? There's so many factors that make it like a relatively painless way to make cash. Like as long as you don't go rampage, not with the slam, but in terms of the fucking gaining the weight, as long as you don't like go that route and you're still relatively within striking distance of a decent weight where you're not going to look like a straight chooch on the mat. Like, wait a second. This guy's a UFC fighter. What's going on? He's a little roly poly. But as long as you don't do that, it's an easy way to make fucking cash in between fights. It really
and stay in shape.
Yes.
Stay in shape. In fight shape.
Yeah.
Because you're going to train for these almost like you do for, you're not going to be sparring, but you have to be in rolling shape to roll for, the extent of however long it's going to be.
Look at what GSP's been doing with the Danaher Death Squad. A lot of the stuff that he's been doing to stay in shape has been getting Gary and Eddie Cummins, and the Ryans ready for their shit, right? But he's been a body. Jake Shields has been there as well. There's been a bunch of other killers there. He's been a body. The Blast went up, obviously, to prepare for his stuff. He's been a body there, and he's credited it with getting him back in, he's relatively within fighting shape. I know he's a perfectionist, he's GSP, fuck it. But it keeps you ready.
Yeah.
Training for a grappling match keeps you fucking ready. You're not, you're not going to kickbox anybody, but I think that's even better.
Look at this again. You got Delusional Dennis going up against Gary Tonin again on the 19th. I can't wait to see Gary tap him out again.
It's going to happen.
I hope Gary holds it on a little bit longer after all the bullshit that Dennis has said these past 2 months.
I hope Tom DeBlas is somewhere in the building. That's all I say. We know,
just punches him in the ear.
I'm telling you, he's usually not that. He's slow to anger, man, and rich in kindness, like the good book says, which he quotes a lot. DeBlas, I love you, but you love Jesus a lot. Okay, good, but he really does. But
well, his video went viral with that drunk outside of a Target. Remember that?
That was tremendous, and plus, that was literally like. I'm not really saying this, but I almost want to go back and be like, how much was that drunk man paid? Because that's if there's any situation where I'm ever describing to somebody what I wish my jiu-jitsu would allow me to do, that's one of those situations. De-escalating some wild shit, not getting world starred, and nobody gets hurt, right? But he only has,
and then the guy gives you a hug afterwards,
right? And that the other guy gets underhooks on. Yeah, I noticed that time. But he was fully ready to get his back and fucking shoot. No, let's not get it twisted. He was still, the switch was halfway off, halfway on. But, but
he was prepared.
He was, of course. But you know what? That's jiu-jitsu for you right there. That I think it gives you the sack to be like, listen, if this goes down, okay, I got you, but I'd prefer not to. And I love that about it. But again, he keeps his, and he's come out and said, let's use him as an example here. He's flat out come out and said, he's like, yo, I'm not in this MMA game. I hate this MMA game. He said it. He said it from two angles. He's like, hey, listen, I don't want to get fucking my brain hit in, and I don't feel great when I fucking knock somebody out. He said it on his, I'm a friend of his on Facebook, and he says it at length. He's like, listen, I'm all about these grappling super fights. And he's the perfect example because he came from MMA.
How can you not be?
Right.
It's a good night of work. Your name is still out there. I'm sure you're getting a good payday because you're the main event.
For sure.
And guess what? Come Monday morning, you're back in the fucking gym.
Yeah, you're back in the gym, and I'm positive.
You're back in the gym,
and I'm pretty sure his marketing guy can see the analytics results from getting his name out there. There's probably more in his email inbox. There's a couple more messages like, hey, I want to give this shit a try. I saw you on so-and-so, or I just saw you out and about. It's a win-win-win for everybody. It really is. I'll be flat out and say it, without getting into too many specifics. The super fight for Mikey has been phenomenal. And it's almost like one of those situations where
he beat the current UFC roster Diego Sanchez while Diego was wearing his UFC gear.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, wow.
what other situation would have been, Mike came on and said, hey, an MMA match, it wouldn't go my way. I wouldn't face him in an MMA match. Like, Mikey wouldn't have done that. But
he knows his limits.
And he knows his lane, and he stays in it. One, doing good for the school. And you know what? We're excited to do more of these. But we're in a situation, and he's old school like we are. He's been in the game for the 10+ years. He knows when, like, maybe if you were the super duper top level at a Grappler's Quest, you didn't have to pay, right? But then that was the only thing was like you maybe didn't have to pay, and that was like your big thing. Like, yeah, okay, I can compete. Maybe you'll throw me $100.
You know what the thing with those Nagas and stuff like that is, there's too many sandbagging. There's too much sandbagging going on.
Fuck yeah, dude.
There's way too much sandbagging going on. These events, these super fights, these events like this, you're going against a purple belt. You're not going against a brown belt who just brought his old purple belt with him for the day and signed up for the purple belt because he hadn't done that event as a purple belt yet. Do you know what I'm saying? It's legit. It's legit.
It's absolutely the case, man. You're making me laugh because I legit remember I've been on the receiving end of beatings of that nature. I'll tell you flat out right now, like there's some guys I'm like, yo, you're no fucking way. You're telling me, like the old Mexican president, no, build a fucking wall. There's no fucking way this guy was a blue belt. If this guy was a blue belt, then I'm a fucking rainbow unicorn with 1 ear. Like,
dude, Naga 2011 Battle at the Beach.
Yeah.
We're all getting ready to. We're sitting around, getting ready to go, and we see a guy walking in a blue gi, and he's wearing a white belt. And a few of us look at each other like, we know him. He used to train with us. He was a 3-stripe blue belt. So somebody called him out.
Yeah.
Somebody called him out. They were like, bro, why are you wearing a white belt? Oh, no. I forgot my blue belt. I'm competing in the blue belt division. Like, no, you're not, asshole. No, you're in a fucking white belt division. You paid yourself $100 to win a $3 medal, probably to go to a bar that night and say, yeah, I took gold in a white belt division.
I'm a badass. I'm a world champion. I'm a regional champion here.
King of the white belts.
Yeah, dude. There's a time and place for those sorts of tournaments. It's great. I love the developmental aspect of those things, but like at a different level, if you're already balls deep and you're getting the MMA angle, and that's your main source of income, why not? Why not hit a EPI? Why not hit a Fight to Win Pro?
I'm telling you, it's getting big, and I think the bigger that it gets, the more the paydays, the more the payouts are going to be. Yep. And I don't want to say you'll never take away mixed martial arts because there's that bloodlust of people who want to see knockouts. So I'm not saying it's going to take away from that. But if it means to give a guy a career who maybe mixed martial arts wasn't working out so well for him, but he still has a way to make money other than just teaching and doing private lessons, and he can still get his name out there and keep his sponsors and make a living for himself, people, you have to. That's how I feel.
Absolutely. Like you have to have it. It's a great outlet. And I'm excited because, like you said earlier, it is a great time to be alive. This wasn't around before. I think it's also going to help both aspects of the sport grow. You're going to see situations where, there's, like I said, there's no feeder leagues, so you can still make a decent living. You can still, maybe we're looking at it not, like a Mickey Gall situation. He can pay some bills. He can maybe stay in the game a little longer. He can give them more options. He can take the better fights for him in his MMA career. Like I think he can beat anybody on the roster. Don't get me wrong, but what if they give him something? It's like, wait a second, I'm not. But you have to take it because you haven't fought in a while. So you got to pay some bills. Like it gives you options. Money is not.
Well, speaking of belts,
oh Jesus.
Speaking of belts, Pride Rules MMA alum Aljamain Sterling got his brown belt today.
Oh Jesus, that's well deserved. By the way, anybody who doesn't get his neck taken home by Renan Barão. For fuck's sake, right? Like if you just,
so, see what I mean, people? Yeah. This is what we're saying. Grappling matters.
It really does.
You need to immerse yourself. You need to immerse yourself in grappling to understand MMA. It's not just fucking knockouts.
Yeah.
It's not. There's more to it. If you understand, maybe you assholes won't boo when it goes to the ground. Fucking part-time fans, Carl Gucci motherfuckers.
Oh, gee, no, come on. Oh. You didn't have to go with the names. You didn't. Come on, bro. No, but in all honesty, it's just gonna help.
Yeah.
If I love something, I'm gonna immerse myself in it. Before I started grappling, before I knew a lot about MMA, I tried reading about it every day. I tried watching something on it every day. Once I got into the grappling and fell in love with it, of course, I looked at that. But all of it enhances my appreciation for what's going on in an octagon or in a ring at any given time. You know, some of the moves that happen, and I know this happens to you, bro. Like, it's not even like engagements. It's positioning. It's wait, that was super slick. Where did he put
timing?
His hand? Exactly timing. You know the
timing technique.
Yeah, and people around me sometimes, if I'm in a like mixed crowd, say, which is some people are big into fighting, some people aren't. If I'm in a mixed crowd, they're like, "What the fuck is this guy chuckling for?" Nobody got hit. Nobody, but wait a second. You don't understand. He's waiting on him. He's setting him up. He's setting a trap. It's incredibly entertaining. And when it goes to the ground, wouldn't you want to find, Joe Rogan can only do so fucking much. Doesn't it make sense for you to be like, wait a second, if I'm going to pay $60 goddamn to watch this, I might as well, know when somebody's as much of a killer on the ground as they are on the feet. I never understood it.
Yeah, Joe Rogan knows as much as he knows from the years that he's been doing it, and he watches these grappling events as well as he watches line fight and all these other things. He watches these events. He watches Eddie's his buddy. I'm sure he watches the Polaris events and the Abu Dhabi trials when they're on there. He watches them because that's how he learns. That's how he learns. You learn the setups and things like that. When you hear the announcers talking about it, you understand what's going on. That's what gets you MMA smarts from watching that stuff. I'm telling you, you've got to start watching this stuff in order to understand what the hell is going on in MMA. Because MMA is just not all knockouts. You want these guys to have a brain 10 years from now. Yeah.
I want my guys to be able to, if I see them at a signing, I want them to be able to shake my hand and have, the 2-second conversation with me and not sound, like they're going to slurp their soup at the dinner. That's what I hate to say it, but like there's some of these guys you're just like, oh no, bro. Oh, you're already, or they're doing some impulsive shit and you're not like, wait a second. I know this guy's a crazy motherfucker, but is CTE to blame for some of this stuff too? Like, hold on. He's a little out there, but I think
I don't know.
In a nutshell, you're saying what you put into the sport, and that's why I think the sport is great. What you put into it as a fan is what you get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's
you can't not appreciate Damian Maia. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, his fights are boring. Yeah, when he can't get the guy to the ground, but when he gets the guy to the ground, you see some good goddamn Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Crazy. The high level mastery that you see, like you're really like I compare it, and I think it's a rightful comparison. You're seeing Michelangelo paint a canvas when you're seeing that dude work through somebody. You're just like, oh, hold on, and it's made even more impressive by how simple it is sometimes. But if you don't understand how the ground game works, and you don't know that he's doing basic level shit, but it's at such a high level of mastery, and he's cutting through good fighters' defenses, like a knife through butter. It just adds such an element to it, and that's what keeps me coming back. Like there's some events where I'm just like, wait a second, the name value might not be there, but who the fuck knows what I might see? Somebody might bust out a fucking twister.
Just like last night's event.
Yes.
Last night's event wasn't a barn burner on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But you got a good amount of fights. You got knockouts. You know what I mean? That's what you want in these events. If you're complaining about star power in the UFC, You're going to get it from these smaller shows. You're going to get it from these. Yeah, because you're not going to just get them from the pay-per-view. Pay-per-views are hit or misses.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to get it from the Contender, watching shows like that. Or I would say the Ultimate Fighter, but those are hit or miss.
Yeah.
Because you can have guys that show up on the Ultimate Fighter and then they don't show up when they get into the cage. You know what I mean?
Like that is a. It can be super hit or miss.
You know, you get a guy like Junie Browning who talks all the shit in the world, but you know, you put him in the UFC octagon. I'm pretty sure, you know, Christopher Reeves would have whipped his ass just because he didn't have the mental aspect for it.
You know, fucking that's on that note, I think we're busting out the Superman. You know, and I'm pretty sure you were trying to mention the fact that it would be after the horse incident where he would still whoop Judy Brown's ass. Yeah, I mean, you know, because before I feel like that's even more.
Should we call Matt Hughes more powerful than a locomotive now? Is he the new Superman?
Sweet Lord in heaven. On that note, guys, I'm telling you, it's just already 13 ways that I'm going to hell, like just in general in my personal life. Being party to those two. Not that I'm a huge Matt Hughes by any means, which I'm not. But takes training to a whole new level, like as if it's a fucking like internet meme. You know, I'm planking. Here I'm training. I'm gonna drive in front of a fucking. What are you doing, man? There's
well, it's easier for me. It's more fun for me now to say things like this just to watch you cringe on camera. Whereas before, we were just doing it on air, so now it's funny to watch you cringe on camera.
No, but do
I mean any of it? No, but I'm here for shock value.
I don't want him to die, obviously. Like, come back, you know. He's a twin brother.
No, they said he's doing a lot better. Oh, I'm assuming the match in Abu Dhabi with Henzo's off, but I mean, who knows?
You know, those fucking sheiks or savages. They might want to see. They might want to see Henzo just fucking roll him up.
Well, that's just the other thing. Like, I don't know if Henzo's got they're saying that Henzo's still going to be there. That's the last thing that I read. I don't know if he has an opponent.
The last I heard was fucking Kakuta, I think, right? It was somebody he faced in Pride back in the day. Yeah, bro. Like, I think he's got something.
Okay.
I'll post it in chat, but I think he's got somebody that it's going to be like a rematch long in the making. I don't know. I read that a couple of days ago. So if you haven't read anything to follow up on that, maybe it was just.
Well, no, I haven't. To be honest, I haven't like looked it up.
I gotcha.
But
they got to get him fighting somebody though. Like that. That's especially if he's in training shape, and which he is. I've seen recent like he started the fucking bicycling a little while ago, and then now he's back in really really grappling shape. You know, I know he had couple dings and bruises, but now, dude, he's looking good. You can see the difference in photos and videos and shit. Like he's lost some weight. He tweets about it. I'm like, wait.
Yeah, no, he looks. I saw a recent picture of him. He looks good. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing him and Pat Miletich in just a grappling only.
That'd be phenomenal. I mean, I don't know the state of Pat Miletich's neck. That might be the only thing, because I know, you know.
Henzo tested that in the IFL.
He tested that quite vigorously, if I recall.
So you know what? Fuck it. Go for broke. Henzo versus Tim Sylvia. Open weight, Abu Dhabi.
And you know what's crazy to me? And we'll end it on this. But the craziest thing about what you just said is that Henzo would sign that match. Henzo
would
fuck, especially like he would. You know,
that's the one thing but that's the one thing Pat Miletich said about him when he fought him in the IFL. He goes, "I have nothing but the utmost respect for Henzo. He doesn't pick his fight like his cousins, and he'll fight anybody they put in front of him. It doesn't matter who it is.
He doesn't give a fuck. He embodies the old school spirit of I will fight you on the beach. Period." Mm-hmm. You know, and he'll do it with a smile. Like that's what makes him Henzo, in my opinion. Is like that.
And if you're cool, he'll have a beer with you after. If you're not, he'll punch you in the nose and then put it on Twitter.
And then he'll stomp you on the face. He'll fucking step on your goddamn face. And I know everybody's like, "Oh, that was bad sports, some shit." If you look into that story, that dude was straight up.
They were trying to rob him.
Yeah, exactly. That was just So that dude had. That's the litmus test. If Henzo Gracie stomps you in the mouth after a fight's all done and said and done, you're a piece of shit. You had it coming. There's no way. He's such a human being that he wouldn't just do that for fucking shits and giggles. Done. It's over.
I got asshole. That fucking tweet at 5:30 in the morning. I was going to work and my phone went off. I was one of the first ones to like it.
Sweet Jesus.
You see?
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, you have it coming. If he's putting a whooping on you, it's because the universe is saying that you need to take your medicine, and their instrument is Renzo goddamn Gracie. I swear, the part of me really thinks it is. But on that note, my friend, we've broken down where we want this sport to go. Just want to give a quick shout out again to our sponsors, Madama Jiu-Jitsu, Black Hole Jiu-Jitsu, 80K Fightwear, 2-minute warning. Tomorrow we're gonna have Brad Desir. He's going to be joining us. It's going to be a little bit of a later show because, you know, we
got it. So I think Brad and I got to have a little discussion. Like, hey, buddy, you know, I don't fight for a living. I do have to get up in the morning.
So, bro, he says it. We're always happy to have him on, but I'm not going to lie to you. I saw 11:15 and I'm like, oh boy, it's going to be a 2-monster morning on Tuesday to get my shit fucking out the door. But he's going to be talking about I think he wants to get in the podcast game, and with how he was as a guest, how I know him to be personally, he's the perfect man for it. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm glad with all that, but I just want to know who the fuck he's fighting next.
Who's not? That would be phenomenal. Honestly, he's the owner of the first KO, and you said this, I think, in chat. He was the owner of the first KO in MSG Bellator history. Like that was just. That never take that away from him. And if he has another fight like that,
and he had a legend calling the fight. Goldie called that.
Yeah, man, that was the stars aligned. It was happy to see one of the good guys that's been grinding it out for so long in different organizations. I had his ups and downs. Some, again, we all know this. Some promoters are great, some promoters are not. He's run the gamut. Also served the country like. It was great to see him have that moment, and I really do hope he continues to have those. Continues to get paid, and then fucking moves on out to this grappling shit and this podcasting game.
Well, speaking of grappling, another shout out to Renzo Gracie fighter Sean Teed, who won at CFFC Saturday night, bouncing back after his loss to Zoo. And not only did he win, he didn't win with his Teed lock. He won by a TKO. So
and show some
he'll be on the podcast soon.
I'm excited and show some wrinkles to the game. I mean, it's guys that are always developing. Those are the guys you want to have, kind of fly the banner for. If you're a smart.
Yeah, he'll be on the show soon enough. But I just wanted to get that congratulations out there to him.
Definitely, shout outs to him, my man. So I will. We'll have a little later show tomorrow. So we will see you guys. Yep, I know, man. I know, around like maybe 10:30, 11ish. We'll post it everywhere. So you have a good night, sir, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.